My name's Beth, and that's a gopher. And what I wanted to talk to you tonight about is kind of summed up in this sentence, that landing on your butt 20,000 times is where great performance comes from. But it's nice to have a place where you can land on your butt in safety, in love, in support. So today I'd like to pitch the LondonGophers study group. Some of you might recognise that. So to kind of focus our study together, we've decided to sort of coalesce on a piece of material at the beginning, and that's the Go Programming Language book by Alan Donovan and Brian Kernighan. It's a book that you can kind of take your own time through, and that's kind of how we're going to run it. So you can just go through at your own pace, but there's a community, or usually we're building a community around that book so that you can get together and you can kind of share experiences or share the exercises that you do. Just a bit of an aside, Gopal, the book, is actually my second favourite programming book. That's my favourite programming book, also by Brian Kernighan. And my third favourite book is Wise Poignant Guide to Ruby, who some of you might have recognised. That's a bit of an aside. The book covers tons of stuff. There's all of these kind of things which you can learn, and that's all great. But I think we can kind of run through all of those things ourselves and do all this kind of stuff. But I think the difference between having a study group and kind of implementing some production tools or working at it is you can spend a little bit of time to kind of focus on the kind of depth of the solutions. So rather than, if we're being paid to produce something, you have to write the code and you have to get it released. But instead, with the study group, you can just spend a bit more time, implement a few different solutions and kind of explore the problem space and go a bit depth. The exercises are really quite cool. You can build yourself a 1970s Star Trek display. This is the animated GIF of a Lysergier figure as one of the exercises. Also rendering functions using scalable vector graphics. That's quite cool. Building a tool to download movie poster art. Rendering fractals in a web server. And this is somebody that's on the group at the moment. And he's been really exploring. He's obviously found something in this particular subject of rendering these two, the Newton and the Mandelbrot fractals. So he's producing tons of these ones. It's really good. Building an offline XKCD search engine or search tool. There's also exercise in topological sorting and detecting cycles in directed graphs, which is really rad. So when you're doing these exercises that are teaching you the foundations of Go, it's also kind of exploring these interesting problems as well. Building concurrent software, that's something in the book, and testing it as well. We're trying to develop this community, so we follow the Go Code of Conduct, which really it can be summed up in these three things: treating people with respect, being thoughtful, and don't be destructive or inflammatory. But because we're also producing code, and kind of learning, and everyone has to learn from some point, and this is maybe what Bill was talking about. Sometimes you want to ask questions that you might feel a bit embarrassed asking. You think it's obvious because they're not obvious, because they're only obvious if you know them. So it's a safe space where you can ask those kind of questions, and a place where you're allowed to fall on your butt, and it's a good thing because that's the kind of process. Because we've got a repository, so we upload code. But we don't want to have that, the first instance being reviewed or, peer reviewed or critiqued or something. That's kind of like work. We're uploading stuff because we're sharing it. We're sharing ideas. But that's not to say that you can't have advice. And if you do wish to have advice, you can ask for it. You can ask people to review your code or look at it, or any particular options. But one thing I would say that we don't want to do is provide feedback like, I wouldn't do it like that, because that's not feedback, that's just an opinion. We have a repository, we have a Slack channel, and also we're having live meetups a little bit like this. And this is from Socrates, How to Open Space, and I really like it. It really sums up in a few key rules, like whoever comes are the right people, using the law of 2 feet. Like if it's not working for you, you can leave or you can arrive. When it's over, and whatever happens is the thing that should have happened. That's really important. So rather than being prescriptive and saying you can all come along and you have to do that, that's not the way it So the study group will potentially make you a Go superhero, maybe. But ultimately it's supposed to be rewarding and it's fun. So as I said, we're on Slack, and there's a bunch of people hanging around in the London Slack channel on the gophers.slack.com workspace, but we also have another Slack channel for the study group that we can invite you to. This is the GitHub repo, so you can check that out, you can clone that, you can add your own work, you can upload, you can commit those. I think I'll kind of distribute that somehow as well. Yeah. Well, that's it really. So if you would like to if you'd like to take part, you can dip in, you can dip out, you can join in for the conversation, you can do the code. It really suits you, but it works really well if people come together and we all sort of support each other's learning journey. Thank you very much.